Hello, everyone. Of course, if you're tuning in right now, you're tuned in to Coach Steele's finance training. I'm excited about the training on today. If you're going to train today, I'm telling you right now, you better get yourself something to write with and something to write on. And you'll probably need a calculator as well. Now, of course, you can use your phone. So feel free to use your phone as a calculator as well. But I have something exciting, something different on today, something that's interactive for you. And for some of you who are interested in understanding about simple ways to evaluate real estate deals, you're going to have an exciting time on today playing with some numbers. So as we get started, once again, it is Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone, and you know what time it is. It's time for another session with none other than Coach Steele's finance training. So I'm happy to have you all tuned in on today as we talk about simple ways to evaluating real estate deals. And as you are tuned in on today, make sure you're in the comment section. Let me know who's tuning in and subscribe. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are almost at another milestone of hitting another set of subscribers. So make sure you subscribe. We have a lot to go over on today, so I'm going to make sure we get this party started. Grab your get your popcorn ready, whatever it is that you need. Get your food, your snacks, you name it. Something to sip on, something to drink. Hydrate your body. It is hot outside. We're going to get this party started here at Coach Steele's Finance Training. And like I said, you can go to YouTube, Coach Steele's Finance Training, and subscribe. You see it right there down there at the ticker. Happy to have everybody tuning in as you come in the room. Come on in the room. I have a challenge for you all today. The challenge is I'm going to present two real estate deals, property A, property B. Do a hypothetical scenario. And based on the numbers, based on what you're looking for as an investor, you can decide which deal you prefer, which deal makes more sense to you. So after we chop it up and do the numbers, you have an assignment to be able to tell me which property you would choose and why. Now let's look at the assignment. Let's see if I can find it here quickly. All right, that is it right there. Do y'all see that? Can you read that in that comment section? Let me know if you see that. Let me supersize it. Boom. Which deal would you take? You have 25K, that's 25,000 for a down payment on an investment property. Now, property A is worth 150,000, but they're selling it for 100,000. All right, that's property A. Property B is worth 100,000 in value, but they're selling it for 80,000. So when we look at this right here, depending on what you're looking for, you can decide, okay, we got $50,000 worth of equity here, and we got $20,000 worth of equity there. Now, when we evaluate this deal, guys, we're also going to look at the rent that it's bringing in monthly, what the overhead costs are, what the cash on cash return is. So you're going to need your calculator and something to write with as we go over this deal. So we see the two deals right here. And if you tuned in a little late, that's okay. You can always go back and watch it again. We're talking about simple ways to evaluating real estate deals on today. And I'm going to give you two scenarios and we're going to go over it. And we're going to treat it like we're investors. Now, when you're a real estate investor, just doing some basic real estate, we're not talking about private lending, borrowing from silent investors. If we were to go to a broker, usually they're going to have us put like 20% down. So we got to figure all of those things out. So let's start with property A. We'll start with the first property. So if we start with property A, and property A is worth 150,000, but it sells for 100,000. What is 20% of 100,000? In that comment section, I need you to tell me what 20% of 100,000 is. We need to know what we come to the table with. Remember, on the word sheet, on the Word document, it says you as the investor, you have $25,000. So we're going to look at both deals. If you get property A that's selling for 100,000, or if you get property B that's selling for 80,000. We still need to know 20% of 100,000, and when we get to property B, we'll need to know 20% of 80,000. But right now we're on property A. So, what is 20% of 100,000? So, in that comment section, write in the answer there. All right, let's see here. Let's go. And one thing I like to do is I like to use a mortgage calculator. If I go to that mortgage calculator website, it'll quickly add up a lot of those numbers for me. So it's good to know what sites to go to, but it's also good to know how to do some of these things manually. Now, there's multiple ways to evaluate in real estate deals, but today we'll keep it simple with focusing on cash return. How much interest is your money going to make annually for you? And I've talked about this before in other videos on the website, on the YouTube channel, Coach Steele's Finance Training. And so you can go watch more videos about cash on cash return. There's multiple ways to evaluate a real estate deal to see if it makes sense. Like I said, today we'll just use cash on cash return. Now, all right, so you are correct if you wrote 20,000. So the answer is 20% of 100,000 is $20,000. So let's go to the first example here. Let's see here. Refresh. If you're just tuning in, welcome to Coach Steele's Finance Training. On today, we are talking about evaluating real estate deals. We have two options, property A and property B. Property A that we're going over, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, it is selling for $100,000, but it's worth $150,000. So hopefully everyone can see that. If you can see it, put the eye emojis in there. I'm going to supersize it. Boom, there it is right there. All right, let's look at it. Once again, selling for $100,000. We have to put 20% down. If we put 20% down, it's $20,000. So now the loan amount that's going to be financed by a financial institution is about $80,000. All right. So we already know right there, we are going to owe the bank about $80,000. Next, interest rate. If we are doing investment property, it's probably going to be about 7.5%. I know a few months ago it was like 7.75%. Now we're just estimating here for property tax and insurance, and we'll leave them both the same equally to keep it fair on both properties. But if we do that, it's saying for this property that's $100,000, the monthly mortgage payment is going to be $809.37. And to keep it simple for our sake, for math, we're just going to round that up to $810. So for property A, the monthly mortgage payment is going to be about $810. And we put $20,000 down. And as you use this mortgage calculator, it even shows you how much is going to interest, how much is principal and interest, and how much of it is escrow as well. So that's a good thing as you use these mortgage calculators. But the main thing I want you all to focus is the overhead, the monthly payment is $810. Now, for property A, we are going to say that the rent is $1,110. The rent for property A is $1,110. Now keep in mind, as we go over this, rent is $1,110 for property A. But the mortgage is $810. All right, so we know that. So if the rent is $1,110 and the mortgage payment is $810, after you pay your mortgage, what is that profit? What does it look like right there? How much money is that every month? Come on in that comment section. I need you to write your answers. I need to see if y'all are doing the math. That's simple math right there. If you need to, use a calculator. See what it is. 1,110 minus 810. That should be an easy answer to find. All right, so that's $300, right? So if you make $300 a month, $300 a month for 12 months, how much money is that? So take that 300 and multiply it times 12. So we can see how much profit so far property A is going to make annually over 12 months. In that comment section, we're looking at property A and how much potential profit it might make. So if you wrote $300 times 12, then you should have come up with $3,600. But there's one other overhead that we didn't write. Yes, there's some other things that may happen along the way, but we're going to keep it simple today, and we're going to add in property management. If property management is going to get 10% of the profit monthly, then we can take $3,600 because we're doing 300 times 12. That's $3,600. Well, then we know 10% of that is $360. So if property management gets $360, now we have to take $3,600 minus $320. And what do we come up with? Our annual profit is $3,280. $3,280. All right. So everybody keeping up? Everybody good so far? We on property A. Property A, we're buying it for $100,000. We put $20,000 down. So now the financing is $80,000. The rent monthly is $1,110. The mortgage payment is $810. We get $300 profit every month. 300 times 12 is 3,600. So 3,600, let me make sure my math is right. Now, out of that 3,600, property management gets 10%. That's 360. All right, so now we have to do 3,600 minus 360. Uh-oh, did I do some math wrong? Somebody tell me, did I do some math wrong? Let's see here. Is it 3240? Let's see. Let me correct my math here. It should be 3240. 3,600 times 10% is 360. 3,600 minus 360 is 3,240. So correction on my part. So your annual profit is 3,240, 3,240, and that's after we pay the property management and we pay the mortgage. All right, so now we got 3,240. Now we're getting ready to see a basic cash on cash return. How do we do that? We take the amount that we put down, and we also take the amount of the net profit as well. So the net profit, 3,240, and then we take also the 20,000 we put down. Remember, we put 20,000 down for property A. So now when we look at these two, we want to do 3,240 divided by 20,000. So let's grab our calculator. Let's find out our cash on cash return. If I make a $20,000 investment, how much interest am I going to make annually off of this? 3,240 divided by $20,000. You should have come up with 0.162. That means 16%, 16.2%. Now, most real estate investors, maybe, for long-term rentals, want to make 10 to 12% interest starting off on cash return. Now, in this case, it would be 16.2%. So we know we're going to make like 16% on our money. That's better than a high yield interest savings account. It's better than a regular savings account. It's better than a CD. we're making some passive income off of this investment property. Now that's property A that is worth $150,000. It's got $50,000 worth of equity, and we're going to make 16%. And basically, we're making, let's see, every month, 3240 divided by 12, we're making about $270 a month. All right, that's property A. Any questions about property A? If not, let's go to property B. Now remember, property B is worth $100,000, but it's selling for $80,000. Now let's go look at this. Let's see if we can go to property B. All right. Let's see if we can get this one. There we go. We got it on the first try. We're going to supersize it. That way everyone can see. We're talking about simple ways to evaluate real estate deals, not making it too complicated. We're going to look at equity, cash on cash return, things like that. Now, if the house is being sold at $80,000, but it's worth $100,000, we know we got potential $20,000 worth of equity. The other one has about $50,000 worth of equity. If we put 20% down, now the loan amount is going to be $64,000. All right, so it's going to be $64,000. Interest rate, all things fair and equal, 7.5%, just like property A. We're going to leave property B the same, property tax, insurance, all the same. When we look at all of that, what is that monthly mortgage payment for property B? The monthly mortgage payment right here is $697. Just like we rounded up property A, we're going to round this one up as well. So we're going to estimate property B basically $700 a month. So the mortgage payment for property B is $700 a month. You see right here, we had to put 20% down. So our down payment is $16,000. Now, one thing I want you all to remember is when you first started, I said as an investor, you had $25,000 and you could take $25,000 and you could use some of it to put $16,000 down on property B, or you could have took that $25,000 and used $20,000 on property A. So those were the two options. So keep that in mind. Whichever property you decide, just remember that will also determine how much liquidity you have left over after you close on the house, in a sense. So just kind of keep that in mind as we continue to evaluate this deal and we figure out which one we would prefer to have over the other. Let's see here. So property B worth 100,000 sells for 80,000. Now, just like property A, we're going to say the rent for property A, very similar. We're going to say it's 1,100. And we already know the mortgage for property B. We rounded it up, that 697 to 700. So with seeing that, if the rent is 1,100 a month, but the mortgage payment is 700 a month, what's the difference? Someone tell me, what's the profit there? What is that profit right there? Talk to me in that comment section. Let's do some math on today. As you're tuning in to Coach Steele's finance training on today, we're talking about simple ways to evaluate real estate deals. And so many people are afraid to do deals. Many people are afraid or intimidated to invest because they're not sure how to conduct the due diligence that's necessary to have success while investing in real estate or any other deal. You can do cash on cash return on a lot of different things. So a lot of these fundamentals are going to help you when investing in other assets as well. And like I mentioned, cash on cash return is just one way, one small piece of the puzzle to see whether or not that real estate deal is good. So I'm interested to hear your thoughts and comments on today, whether you're going to choose property A or property B. And based on our homework and research, it may help you make a decision. So think about what I'm saying. Instead of not knowing, if you learn how to do the proper research, you can make better decisions when it comes to investing. But if you don't know, you'll just make a decision and not know the pros and cons of what you missed out. I want you all to be able to evaluate both deals and see which one looks better for you. Some people may prefer a good exit strategy out of an investment. And if they're looking for a good exit strategy that helps them win the biggest, that's going to help them determine whether or not they pick property A or property B. Now, property B, the rent is 1,100 a month. The mortgage is 700. So in that comment section, you should have had plenty of time to say what that monthly profit will be. And of course, we know that that is $400. So if you guess $400, you are correct. Now we need to see what it is annually. So 400 times 12 is how much? Someone in that comment section, tell me what 400 times 12 is. Should be able to do it in your head. Everyone can. But if you can't, then don't be afraid to use a calculator. Either way, you want the right answer when you're doing math, when you're talking to someone and you're trying to negotiate and you're trying to find simple ways to evaluate a real estate deal. Of course, it is $4,800. And so give yourself a pat on the back if you picked the right answer there. So if it is $4,800, we got to think about a little overhead. And so to add that into equation and keep it simple, and another day we'll add in plumber and AC guy and lawn care and electricity and all that other stuff. But to understand the basic concept in math, today, the overhead we're looking at, just like the first deal, is property management. And how much interest, what percent of that 4,800 needs to go to property management in this equation? 10%. So 10% of $4,800 is how much? $480. So you need to take $4,800 minus $480. And what does that give you? It gives you 4,320. You want to double check your math. Just like earlier, I didn't double check certain math and I got it wrong. And then I had to come back and correct it. So you always want to correct it so you can find out the proper cash on cash return. In other words, how much interest is your money going to make annually after all of this overhead is paid? So we got $4,320. Now, this is where it gets good because property A was going to make 16% interest. That was the cash on cash return. Now, $4,320 on property B after all overhead is paid. How much was the down payment? It was $16,000. So we're going to divide that $16,000 into the 4,320. So when we do that, what do we get? What's your answer? 4,320 divided by 16,000. If you have 0.27, then you are correct. That's 27%. Now here's where it gets interesting. Because property B, there was less to have to put down. There's a bigger profit margin monthly. And the cash on cash return is much greater. It's at 27%. When property A was at 16%. Now you have a decision to make. So let's say 27%. And if the annual profit was 4,320 divided by 12, that means every month you're making $360. All right. So property A was making $270 every month. Property B is making $360. Cash on cash return is at 27% with property B. Property A, cash on cash return is at 16%. Which property are you picking? Are you going with property A, where you had to put $20,000 down, which left you about $5,000 cash? Or are you going with property B, where you only put $16,000 down, and since everyone started with $25,000, that left you with $9,000 worth of liquidity? Here's where it gets interesting because as an investor, property A has $50,000 worth of equity, right? So with that $50,000 worth of equity, Or property B that had $20,000 worth of equity. There's a $30,000 difference when it comes to equity. I like property A because if I change my mind in the next month or two, I could potentially walk away with $50,000 and 2 months worth of rent, which is 270 times two, which is like 540. So walk away with 50,000 and $540 from rent. And if they didn't maintain the house properly, I keep uh, the deposit. But that's another story. Now, with property B, you can walk away with $20,000 worth of equity and maybe 2 months worth of rent. 360 is 720. So, do you want the safety net? These are things that you have to look at when you're evaluating deals. Are you more so looking for a deal where you can make the most monthly for passive income? In long term, you're willing to be patient and let the equity in that house build up? Or do you want to make some passive income at a decent rate, interest rate, as you invest your money, and also have a strong exit strategy where you can get up out of there and walk away with a profit? So those are some of the things that you have to evaluate. And I'm glad that you're tuning in to Coach Steele's finance training on today. And I wanted to give you some things to think about as you continue to evaluate deals, and something else for you to think about as you're tuning in. Let me share this with you. If you need a financial coach, someone to guide you through some A's and B's of financial literacy, feel free to go to my website and click Start Now, and we can guide you and help you. That way you can get started. Those are some of the things we provide, but also what I want you to do is go over here and click the Shop tab. And when you do, click on the t-shirt, and I want you to get yourself a t-shirt, a Make Money Multitask t-shirt, and it comes in different colors. It is awesome. So I definitely want y'all to come and patronize at my website. My website is www.steelsfinanceacademy.com. Figure out what size you want, what color shirt you want. That red is pretty cool as well. But definitely get on there, get you a money man, make your money multitask. Don't just talk about it, but also wear it and actually do it. Give yourself a reminder, put it on every week. So definitely want you to go to the website, get your t-shirt as well. So as we continue with Coach Steele's finance training on today, as you see, we're talking about simple ways to evaluate real estate deals. I just went through a way you can look at two deals and evaluate them. Pretty cool, pretty simple, not too complicated. And don't be afraid to step out there. Don't be afraid to reach out to real estate agents or property management to find out what deals are out there. That way you can find yourself a good deal. Give yourself some cushion. So that way, if your job doesn't give you a raise, you don't panic. Why? Because you can give yourself a raise through your investment, through your real estate properties. Every year, every other year, rent is going up. So even when your job won't give you a raise, guess what? The property will, and it will continue to rise. Those are some of the things that you have to think about with those deals. And that's why I love having everyone come together here at Coach Steele's Finance Training to talk about financial literacy. It's so important that we continue this conversation to talk about how money works and what creative things we can do to improve ourselves financially. And if you are, new to Coach Steele's Finance Training, make sure you go to the YouTube channel and subscribe. And we are going through right now a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. And you'll see some of the chapters in here that we have gone over. Just like you click on the live tab, and as you do, you see the rich invent money. Let's go a little bit lower. You see chapter 4, taxes and corporations. Chapter 3, mind your own business. So definitely get the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book. Take your time as you catch up with us, and you can catch some of these chapters. Why teach financial literacy? The difference between Dave Ramsey and Robert Kiyosaki, and the list goes on. So you can definitely come in and get this content. We do interview entrepreneurs, as you see as well. here with Kashana Johnson. So definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel, catch up on some of these sessions that we had here. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section and or email me. And you'll see my email down here at that bottom ticker that's floating down here. Any questions for me on today, make sure you leave them in the comment section. And if you're interested in a high yield interest savings account, you need a good bank and a link, I will make sure I leave the link in the description. Or you can also email me, coachsteelefinance@gmail.com. If you need someone for a speaking engagement at a school, at your fraternity, sorority, organization, you name it, club event, let me know. Reach out to me on my website, put in that request, and we'll get you on the calendar there as well. Hope you had fun tuning in to Coach Steele's finance training on today, and look forward to seeing you at the next time. What are some of the subjects that you want to hear us talk about here at Coach Steele's finance training that you might be interested in? If I can't talk about it, then I will bring in a professional that can help have that conversation with us. But anyway, appreciate everybody tuning in. Coach Steele's finance training. Make sure you share the live. That way we share this information about financial literacy with as many people as possible. Other than that, I'll see you next Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time Zone. But I'm also posting videos throughout the week on the YouTube channel. Be blessed.